like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so first up tonight, we have communications and correspondence, and we have representatives from the Airline Trail Committee here. So Lou, would you like to go first?
Thank you.
If you could identify yourself.
Cool. Okay. Good evening. My name is Lou Pear. I'm the co-chair of the Airline Trail Steering Committee, and I live at 227 William Street. Tonight our plan is to give you a brief update of the progress of the Airline Trail Steering Committee and the Complete Streets Group. At the conclusion of these reports, please feel free to ask us any questions. I will first start by thanking you for your support on the Airline Trail and the Airline Trail Steering Committee. In the past 9 months, we have secured a trail engineering consultant, requested additional engineering plans for the trail, and a meeting was held with leaders of the CLNP and Algonquin Gas Company to see if we can use their land. Spearheading this meeting was Sue Bransfield, Deanna Rhodes, Kevin Grindell, who's the consultant from Anchor Engineering, and Chantel Foster representing our steering committee. We have also provided information covering our mission and goals at the tabling events this past fall, and we will provide you with a copy tonight. In planning for this multi-use trail, we have also established a subgroup headed by Kathy Herron and John Hall, which is called a Complete Streets Group or Complete Streets Plan, and they'll explain more about that later. So with all the preliminary planning and research that there is still one stumbling block. We need a license from Connecticut Light and Power to use the trail or use the land, which is their land. The good news is that the representatives from CLNP and Algonquin Gas are interested in seeing our site plan, and it is now being developed by Jeff Jacobs. And they plan to join us on a hike January 14th. And if anybody on the Board of Selectmen would like to join us, we're leaving from Camp Ingersoll. We'll have a shuttle area going to Breezy Corner, and from there we'll hike. It's a short, that would be like a mile, a little more than a mile hike.
What time is that?
We're hoping for 1 o'clock. So if anybody's interested, just let me know, and we'll make sure that we know that you're coming. And then we hope to have people from the YMCA, Algonquin Gas, CLNP, people from the town, people from our committee to be on that as well. And we're just hoping that once the CLNP and the Algonquin Gas people see that basically all we want to do is put some stone dust down so that it can be used for a trail. We're not going to touch the pipes, we're not going to touch the utility poles, it's just going to be a walking area with the hope that down the road this will connect with the East Hampton Trail that also connects all the way to Willimantic. So it really would be a nice addition, and I think that there will be some economic development and possibilities for economic development within the town just by bringing in more people that are going to hike, walk, cross-country ski, and things like that. So once we have received the license agreement, some of the other goals would be to see if we could secure the usage of the railroad station on Marlborough Street, maybe have a parallel trail that goes from the station toward Walcott Lane, which would connect us to the bridge, also to the riverfront. And then long-term goal, we would see if we could connect the part from Depot Hill Road to Ingersoll, and from there to the bridge. But that would be phase 3. So at this time, let me introduce Rizzo, who is going to explain a little more about the next part of our plan, our goals, and a request of money.
I get these.
Thanks. Sure, yeah.
Good evening, Rosario Rizzo, 7 McDonald Drive here in Portland. New resident, about 55 years. What I just gave you is a copy of our goals. It's two-sided. It has our short-term, long-term, and then some activities, and it also lists our committee members. So those are the ones you appointed this past year. As you just heard from, our committee has been busy over the last 9 months getting ready for the signing of the license, which we hope we will get momentarily. We have signed up 40 volunteers so far, and they were willing to help with on-site work, background research, and grant writing, hospitality and refreshments, photography, marketing and communications, including creating an airline trail web page for the Town of Portland website, and public relations. We have another 25 area residents who have asked to be kept informed of committee progress as well. So there's interest out there. Our committee members have received input from Portland residents during our tabling activities at the Portland Fair, on Election Day outside the Waverly Center, and of course during conversations at local businesses. This has helped our committee to find a clear and concise mission statement that's on that sheet. We have developed short-term goals that we should be able to implement in the next 6 months, long-term goals for the next 1 to 10 years, and probably beyond, and ongoing activities as needed. Please let us know if you have any comments or recommendations to improve our mission, goals, or activities. The Board of Selectmen provided us $10,000 to get us started. We designated $5,000 for Rails to Trails engineering, grant proposal assistance, complete streets assistance, and government interaction with Connecticut DEEP, Connecticut DOT. And by doing that, we recommended Kevin Grindell of Anchor Engineering to provide that assistance to us. He has experience as he is currently assisting the town of East Hampton with their Rails to Trails activities. And they have recently received a $400,000 addition to their grant. So they're well on their way. The other $5,000 currently designated to Jeff Jacobs to provide up to $5,000 to provide a trail site plan to Connecticut Light and Power and the Algonquin Gas Companies. All other expenses have been minimal and provided by the town or by volunteers. We are now asking for an additional allocation of $10,000 be budgeted for the next fiscal year to help us get started with the actual work that will be needed this year with approval of the license. Once we have the Connecticut Light and Power license, we will be able to start the grant writing process for local, state, or federal funding. I have already made contact with a representative of the Connecticut State Park Service and with John Monroe, Director of Rivers and Trails for Connecticut and Rhode Island, representing the National Park Service. And as an aside, John worked with the Portland Quorum, and he had very nice comments and praise about working with the Portland Quorum on the Riverfront project. He said it was nice to go to a town who told them what they were planning to do and actually did it. He said it doesn't happen everywhere he goes. So it was a great comment on the Portland Quorum. My second ask is a little bit easier tonight. Our committee would like to add, with your approval, 2 non-voting alternates to the committee, so to ensure that we have a strong reserve when the need arises to replace current members. At this time, I would like to introduce Kathy Herron, committee member and chair of our Complete Streets work group, and John Hall, former member of our committee and currently mentoring our Complete Streets team. Thank you.
Thanks.
Kathy?
Could you just tell me, I guess I don't quite understand the license with CLNP. Is that an agreement with them, or what does that mean, a license from
A
them?
license, I don't know what the time frame is, but Deanna,
Yeah.
she's our expert.
Good. Okay, good.
A lot of times you get like an easement over someone's land. If you get an easement from CLMP, it's very difficult. They have to go back to the Department of Utility Control, and it's just a big process, and they don't want to get into that. So a license is like an agreement. It's an agreement, but it's not an easement.
Okay.
It's a license of use, and so and it's for a length of time. It could be 20 years, 30 years, and the license can expire, and there's all these conditions in it. But they gave us a sample license agreement that they use in other community that needs to be tweaked. It's not really appropriate for this particular site, so we've had our attorney look at it, and then their attorney's looking at it, so we're going back and forth tweaking the language on that license. But one of the steps in the license is they want to see where we're going to putting the trail on their land.
Right.
So that's why Jeff Jacobson's services are actually to create the map that's going to show where the actual trail and parking areas and things are going. But it's very similar to an easement, but it's not a long-term, we're not paying for it. Algonquin actually, which is Spectra Energy, has an easement on Northeast Utilities land that they paid several $100,000 for. That's why we have to get their permission as well, because they bought their easement. So it's multiple parties involved in this transaction.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yep. And then one other question.
Sure.
And maybe it shows it on the map there, I didn't look. So if you're going from Camp Ingersoll
Correct.
to Breezy Corner, you said, so.
And actually over to Depot Hill, which is a Cobalt,
Yep.
to,
I know.
and hopefully down the road that will connect us to the East Hampton Airline Trail.
How far is it from there to East Hampton? That's a little ways though.
Right, so that's another part of their proposal that they looked at, is going from where they are downtown towards Portland.
Yep.
So that we would be able to connect long-term. If you looked at that handout today, we would go from literally the Aragoni Bridge, out to Willimantic.
And this phase one right now, what is, how long is that? What is, how many
2.7?
miles or
Yeah.
2.5 miles?
2.5
Wow,
miles.
that's great.
And depending on where we come out, and that's one of the things why we invited the Y to participate, because of where Butler has done some excavation, the trail is no longer available. We're gonna have to look at alternatives to come out. And we're working with the Y because it's great for the Y, because it allows them to have an exercise area very close to the Y that won't cost them anything to use.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's
That's
great for, the people who come from Portland and the Y folks. So it works for it really works for everybody.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps you know the answer to this, but that portion of the trail in East Hampton, which runs from the Portland-East Hampton line up to down to downtown area, parts of the trail I know aren't complete. I know when you get up, there's gaps in it, the infrastructure's there. Is that what the grant is, their grant is trying to upgrade that area, or are they?
It's
maintain it?
addition to where they've already had some trail work. Kevin Grindell, who's now our consultant from Anchor, but has a better idea, because that's what he's working on also. But that's their long-term goal, is to connect those two. Right now, they do have a problem because of beavers backing up water and creating some areas that they can't get over currently. So that's one of the things they're looking at, how they're going to do that long-term. And that's why one of the great things of hiring Kevin is he has all that knowledge. He's already dealt with all the Connecticut government entities that we're going to have to deal with. He's already had those contacts. I think it will shorten a lot of our activities because he's already done it and has the relationships. Any other questions? Okay, at this time, Kathy Heron and John Hall, please.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Heron. I live at 23 Old Homestead Village. Thank you for providing John Hall and I the opportunity to share the recent activity of the Complete Streets group. When I last spoke with you in August, our group had only met a few months, and we were just beginning to form our group and our mission and goals. Since then, we decided to become a citizens action group called Complete Streets Group. We meet every month on the second Thursday of the month here at the library, 6:30 to 8 p.m. There are currently 8 members in our group. Some highlights of our work in the past few months include, like the airline trail, we had an information table at the Portland Fair to let people know who we are and to begin collecting some input from the residents of Portland. You have that top copy is the handout that we gave folks that stopped at our table. We developed a draft of our missions and goals that we plan to finalize at our January meeting, which is tomorrow night. Our mission is to improve the streets of Portland, making them safe and accessible for all users, including pedestrians, cyclists, people with mobility challenges, and motorists, to encourage non-motorized modes of transportation and promote healthy living. Some of our goals include gathering more public input and support from Portland residents on key areas of need, and to enlist you, the Board of Selectmen, to support the completion of a Complete Streets plan. We believe it is very important for the town, our town, to have a Complete Streets plan in order to take advantage of funding opportunities at the state, local, and regional level. The second handout is a copy of the draft of our mission and goals. And as I mentioned when I spoke with you last, that Complete Streets is a national movement. And our own Connecticut DOT issued a policy statement just 2.5 months ago in October of 2014 on Complete Streets. That's the third handout that you have. Some of their objectives include improved mobility and accessibility to commercial centers, schools, and trails, and enhance economic competitiveness by enabling communities to become livable, walkable, bikeable, drivable, efficient, and safe. It mentions that Complete Streets will be considered in all projects receiving state or federal funding. Speaking of state and federal initiatives, we are also aware of regional projects happening. For our last highlight, we'd like to mention the Complete Streets Group recently submitted 3 recommendations for a regional plan. And John Hall will now speak to you about that, but do you have any questions for me first? No? Okay. John?
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is John Hall. I also thank you for this opportunity to address you and to explain what we're doing. This is a very exciting work this group of volunteers is up to. And this sheet, which is titled The Recommendations of the Complete Streets Group to the Lower Connecticut River Valley Council of Governments, I want to explain what this is about, because what is funded transportation-wise at the local level is coming through the state and through the regional planning agencies. One little example that was just a little fortunate accident, but it worked out well for Portland, was they were just about to repave Route 17. And I just happened to notice that they were working around the catch basins, and it told me that they were going to repave. And we'd been talking as a group about having a narrower travel lane to make it a little wider paved shoulder. And I called Susan Bransfield, and she made an intervention, and lo and behold, they narrowed the travel lane, and we have a wider shoulder as a result. So the Lower Connecticut Valley River Council of Government sent out a request for recommendations for the regional transportation plan. It's a long-range plan, and we thought it was very timely for us to make some recommendations, even though we're not the town, or you could say especially because we're not the town, because the regional planning agency is looking for citizens groups as well as the town itself to provide support. In fact, they want there to be local support among citizens groups for these plans. So these 3 recommendations are kind of come out of the Airline Trail study and visioning process. And we submitted these, but we are presenting them to you because we really hope that the town of Portland will submit something along these lines. If that doesn't have to be exactly the language, but first of all, Route 17A, Main Street, is a fantastic street in so many ways, and that sidewalk along it is a hugely important recreational facility. And we recommend some improvements along Main Street, slow the traffic down. There is a good paved shoulder in many of the areas, but not in others. So that's what that's about. The feasibility study of the 2.5 miles of Route 66 was actually a thought that was raised to us by the Lower Connecticut Valley River COG because the difficulty or one obstacle with the airline trail project is we can get to Camp Ingersoll pretty easily, but then how are we going to get the rest of the way? And we have all realized that one obvious way is just to come to Route 66 and create a multi-use trail in the Route 66 right-of-way, which they have a large right-of-way on both sides. And that would be a way to get to downtown from the airline trail. It may be the best way, at least for a good part of that. But from a complete street standpoint, trying to make the town more, pedestrian-friendly and bicycle-friendly anyway, even apart from the airline trail, Route 66 along that stretch is a problem. It's a very high accident area. The traffic moves very fast. And as more and more people are using non-motorized transportation, partly because they want to get exercise and partly because they can't afford vehicles, it's very difficult to cross Route 66. And there's shopping over there, a supermarket, and so on. So to have a real study of that section of highway would be a very useful thing for us to have, related to the airline trail, but also for the people who live and move around that corridor. And then finally, and this is very exciting, this also kind of comes out of the airline trail study group, is connecting the riverfront park going upstream right along the river and just following the river right up to Glastonbury, the Tryon Street. The only area that really you can't do that is when you get to Petzold Marine. You got to go back to Main Street, but then you can get back off track, off road at the fairgrounds. And we had one walk up there, and it's just a fantastic opportunity waiting to happen. A lot of it is state-owned land already. It's just unbelievable, the opportunity that is there. It does warrant, though, a feasibility study, so we're recommending that too. And so we're just presenting this to you now, and we will be back asking you and the first Selectwoman to make these recommendations. The deadline is January 12th, so that's why we're getting it in now. But there will be other opportunities to make input down the road. So I guess I went a little longer than I expected, but are there any questions about any of this?
I'm just wondering, do the two groups meet together or just work together, or you have two separate nights? How does that work?
Kathy is part of the airline trail
Oh, okay,
committee.
okay.
And this is she chairs the subgroup.
The Complete
Complete
Streets.
Streets group.
So when does your group meet?
We meet fourth Wednesday.
Okay. And we should just announce that in case people at home are interested. Fourth Wednesday at the library?
At the library.
7. 6:30.
Yeah. We meet at 6:30.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
I know we bought a piece of land from the state by the fairground, right? About a year or two ago. And part of the rule with it was that we couldn't do anything with it. And I'm wondering, because I think this is a great idea to get a trail all the way to Glastonbury would be amazing. I'm just wondering, are we allowed on state property to put a trail in? That's the only thing.
Well, I haven't seen that agreement, but generally when the state sells land to a municipality, they just don't want it developed. They want it used for passive recreation.
Yeah, okay.
So I think a trail, the state of Connecticut, I believe, would support this.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
would hope so.
I don't know what particular piece of property you're talking about, but
It
that
was,
would be
it was
my-
like an acre, and we couldn't get to it from anywhere. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if, did we
Yeah.
ever close on that, or we ended
I think
up
we
not-
did. That one we closed on. It was the other
It was
one.
only a small.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Anyways, that was my only, yeah. I love
Thank you.
it, yeah.
So-
Any other questions?
No, I have none. I appreciate the
Very
update,
much.
and it's
Yeah.
Very complete, and it's a good idea to have it. I'm glad Kathy's on both, because now you have that cross-germination of ideas and what's going on and so forth, which is super.
We're planning, the Complete Streets Group is planning a public meeting just to inform the citizens about what Complete Streets is and what some of the opportunities are.
That's a good idea,
so-
because the more the people know about it.
Yeah.
Both. That's great.
One last,
Thank you.
just a comment,
Yeah.
a question, is that you might be aware, but the selectmen are looking at sidewalks as a possible initiative, so and it kind of goes along with what you were talking about.
Well, we're studying sidewalks too. Actually, we have a report that we're developing about the sidewalk conditions around schools, because Safe Routes to Schools is a source of funding. That's a program. Safe Routes to School is a funding source for sidewalk improvements around schools. And that's a good way to get a town going on complete streets. So, yeah.
Actually, on that topic, I talked to Michelle today. I called the town hall, and she had mentioned, I don't know who, but a couple of citizens have been inquiring whether they can join our sidewalk committee or not. And that's just something that we should talk about at
Yeah.
some point, whether to, what point to bring the
And I
public.
understand Christy Carpino is coming on Friday to speak to Sue Bransfield, so she said if we had anything we wanted to bring up to her, so this might be something that we
That's
could
great, yeah.
work with the state on that. Look into
Yeah.
that. Maybe there's some
You'll be
grants.
hearing from us about sidewalks too.
That's good.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you, guys.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to stay. Thank you.
It's warm in here, come on.
All right, any public comment? Anyone else?
Okay, so anybody need to go, just one hour.
I don't know where to put it.
That's to go outside.
Did you put it outside?
Yeah, that'd be great if we can get it. It's pretty cool.
And Carol here,
It's not
do you know how to?
probable, I mean, all good.
Sure we can.
Yeah.
I think we'll only be 1 minute.
Okay,
Can you
I'll
wait
agree.
1 minute?
Sure.
Okay. All right, no
Just keep
public
it.
comment, and tonight,
know,
This is like the.
Tom Robinson is sick this evening, so we're going to, he had to go home sick, so we'll push the monthly budget report off to next time.
Yep.
All right, and appointments to boards and commissions, just none. I do have one for the library board. Melissa Ieta, Aieta hyphen Graham, Graham. Do you have a second for that?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Excuse me? And refunds of excess payments?
Okay. Refunds of payments, $268.22 to Harris, Richard, or Allison Harris. Also, Wheels LT, number is $47.45. Toyota Motor Credit Corporation, $156.42, and Marino Daniel R., $118.54.
Second.
Okay.
Oh, do I, all of them?
We'll do them all individually,
Yeah, do
but
'em.
Ryan will do it. Okay, all in
Okay.
favor for all
Aye.
those?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Anyone have any status reports? Yes, no public comment. All right, and as I mentioned previously, Susan said if you had anything you wanted her to bring up to Christy Carpino on Friday, to just let her know. Maybe send her a note or call her, because she will be stopping by Friday afternoon. Okay, and maybe the sidewalks might be something we could talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that is it. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to discuss tonight? No stuff for tonight?
Yeah, like the ethics, I've been waiting for something to come on that. I think we should probably keep that on the agenda.
Sure. Tell her. And then the next meeting will be January 21st. We have a public hearing at 7 o'clock.
Now, we don't have a regular meeting that night, do we?
I think we're gonna probably just concentrate on
Okay.
the water and sewers, if
Yeah.
I understand it. Okay, and that will be 7 o'clock in the Portland Library. Okay, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I know. how do
When
you-
is?